When you say to a man, "I respect myself too much to settle," you're not just making a statement, you're revealing your inner world. You're showing that you have standards, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you've done the inner work to know your worth. Men are highly perceptive to a woman's energy. They might not always consciously articulate it, but they feel it when a woman holds herself with quiet strength. And when you say something like this, in a calm, grounded way, not as a threat, not as an ultimatum, it hits differently. It communicates that you're not here to beg for scraps of attention, that you won't chase someone just to feel chosen, and that your peace, your time, your heart are valuable. This sentence doesn't create distance, it creates desire. Because when a man sees that you're not clinging or performing to gain his approval, it instantly separates you from the crowd. Most women, in fear of losing someone, start adjusting, overgiving, or compromising too early. But when you stay rooted in your truth and calmly say, "This isn't aligned with what I want," or "That's not how I treat myself, so I can't allow it here either," you subtly let him know, "I'm not here to fight for a spot. I am the spot." And that, ironically, makes him want to fight for you. It's not about playing hard to get, because a woman who speaks this way leaves an imprint. She doesn't nag, she doesn't threaten, she doesn't control. She simply states her boundaries like a queen, drawing the line between what she welcomes and what she will never entertain. Men remember that, especially emotionally mature men, the ones who are ready for depth, consistency, and a woman who knows who she is. They admire that kind of clarity. It inspires them to rise, to match her energy, and to earn their place in her life. This is also where attraction meets respect. Many women wonder why a man might chase intensely at first, then slowly lose interest. Often, it's because he doesn't feel challenged in a meaningful way. But when you make it clear that your self-worth is not negotiable, when you live and speak that truth, you give him something powerful, a reason to step up. Not because you're asking him to, but because he wants to. Meet the woman who doesn't lower her standards for anyone. A queen never begs for loyalty, presence, or respect. She embodies it and commands it without a word. And when you speak from that place, it naturally filters out the boys and calls in the men who see your strength, feel your energy, and recognize that standing beside a woman like you is a privilege, not a convenience. That's when a man doesn't just see you as a woman, he sees you as his queen. When you say to a man, "I love when a man leads with intention," you're not just complimenting him, you're speaking to his core. Masculine energy, in its healthiest form, thrives on purpose, direction, and leadership. When you affirm that you admire those traits, you ignite a deeper part of him that wants to show up for you, protect you, and build something lasting with you. You're not demanding that he take control of you. You're appreciating when he shows clarity, consistency, and emotional maturity. That's incredibly powerful. So many women hesitate to express this because they fear sounding passive or dependent. But when it comes from a place of self-respect and emotional intelligence, it doesn't sound weak. It sounds royal. It means you value a man who knows what he wants, who communicates clearly, and who leads not with ego, but with presence. Men don't just want to be needed, they want to feel chosen and respected. When a woman acknowledges his healthy leadership, it builds a connection that's rooted in mutual trust, not power plays. It also creates a dynamic that honors both energies. You're not relinquishing your voice or your standards. You're inviting him to step into his purpose while you stand confidently in yours. When a woman says something like this, it signals to a man that she knows how to receive, and more importantly, that she values the strength it takes for a man to lead well. And that gives him a reason to rise. Not to dominate or control, but to create structure, direction, and reliability in the relationship. Men who are ready for something real listen closely to a woman who speaks like this. They're not turned off by her clarity. They're drawn in by it. Because a woman who knows what she values is rare. You're not asking for perfection. You're letting him know that when he leads with purpose, whether it's making plans, setting emotional direction, or showing up with honesty, it makes you feel safer, more feminine, and more connected. That inspires him to keep doing it, not out of obligation, but because he sees the impact it has on you. This kind of communication also naturally filters out inconsistent or emotionally unavailable men. If a man flinches when he hears this, he's likely not ready to lead himself, let alone someone else. But if he leans in, if he listens, and if he responds with intentional action, that's a man who doesn't just want to impress you, he wants to invest in you. A high-value woman doesn't demand leadership, she inspires it. And when a man sees that his clarity and direction are not just noticed, but genuinely appreciated, he stops guessing what you want and starts giving from a place of purpose. That's when the relationship begins to thrive. And that's when he stops seeing you as just another woman and starts seeing you as the one he never wants to lose. When you say to a man, "I feel safe and seen," when you do that, you're doing something that few people truly understand. You're showing appreciation in a way that nurtures emotional connection. Most men spend their lives trying to figure out how to win with a woman, especially one they admire, but they're not always sure what actions actually matter or make an emotional impact. When you give a man direct, emotionally intelligent feedback that highlights what he's doing right, it doesn't just build trust, it builds desire, pride, and a deeper investment in you. Men are wired to respond to outcomes. If they open up, plan something thoughtful, or step into emotional leadership, and it gets met with coldness, criticism, or silence, they slowly shut down. But when a woman notices his effort and mirrors it back with warmth and clarity, it reinforces his masculine energy in the healthiest way. Saying, "I feel safe and seen" when you do that, makes him want to keep showing up for you, not because he has to, but because it makes him feel like a man in your presence. It tells him what you do matters, who you are matters, and that's the most powerful gift you can give to a man who's ready to love deeply. This simple phrase teaches him about you, what matters to you, what touches your heart, what makes you open rather than close. It's not manipulation, it's truth, it's guidance. And men who are emotionally available crave that kind of truth, not in the form of demands or expectations, but in the form of insight. When he knows what makes you feel emotionally safe, he starts to prioritize those things. And that's when real intimacy begins. Because connection is not built on grand gestures. It's built on moments of understanding, of seeing one another fully and choosing to stay present. Also, this phrase is deeply feminine. It comes from the heart. It's not about control. It's about emotional intelligence. It tells a man, "I am open to being led, touched, and loved, but only in ways that honor my spirit." It allows him to access his best self without fear of failure or rejection. You're not demanding safety, you're appreciating it when it's there. And that appreciation is magnetic. When a woman speaks with this kind of emotional clarity, a man starts to look at her differently. He feels like he matters, not for what he can give materially, but for how he shows up. And when that part of him is seen and acknowledged, he connects with you on a level that outlasts attraction or chemistry. It becomes spiritual, it becomes rare. A woman who can express her feelings in a way that uplifts and inspires will always stand out. Because men don't forget the one who made them feel not just needed, but seen. When you say to a man, "My peace is non-negotiable," you're communicating something far deeper than just a boundary. You're sharing your personal truth. It tells him you're a woman who has done the work to value her emotional state above temporary connection. You're not here for the chaos, the confusion, the hot and cold behavior that so many people normalize in modern dating. You're rooted in self-respect, and because of that, you don't let anyone, no matter how attractive, charming, or promising, disturb the calm you've worked hard to build within yourself. This sentence doesn't come from arrogance, it comes from alignment. A woman who says this isn't cold or distant. She's simply made the decision that she'd rather be alone in peace than partnered in dysfunction. And that energy is powerful. It instantly creates clarity. It tells a man, if you come into my world, you're either going to add to it or you're not going to stay in it. That's not a threat, it's a standard. And men who are emotionally mature don't run from this, they respect it. Most men aren't used to hearing a woman speak this way with grace and calmness. They're used to emotional reactivity or passive tolerance. But when a woman draws the line, not with anger, but with certainty, it disarms him. It gets his attention because it means she's not afraid to walk away. She doesn't operate from fear of loss. She operates from the desire to be in a connection that feels emotionally safe, stable, and mutual. That's rare. And rarity is what makes a woman unforgettable. Men are biologically drawn to women who are at peace within themselves. A woman who protects her energy becomes magnetic because she's not chasing, not proving, not bending. She attracts by being still and solid in who she is. And when she says, "My peace is non-negotiable," she's offering the man in front of her a chance to either honor that peace or be replaced by it. This also sets a healthy emotional framework for any potential relationship. If a man wants access to your world, he now knows what's expected. Not perfection, but emotional responsibility. Not control, but care. And the right man doesn't feel restricted by this. He feels motivated because deep down, men want to be good at love. They want to be a source of comfort, not stress. And when you clearly show them what emotional safety looks like for you, they begin to rise into that version of themselves. A woman who treats her inner peace as sacred becomes a mirror. She shows a man who he is and what energy he brings into her life. And in that reflection, he either sees the need to evolve or he watches her walk away and remembers the woman who loved herself enough to never settle for noise. When you say to a man, "I don't need you, but I choose you," you speak from a place of rare strength and emotional clarity. You're not denying your ability to love, nor are you closing yourself off from intimacy. Instead, you're letting him know that your love isn't rooted in desperation or lack. It's rooted in conscious. That distinction is everything. It changes how he sees you, how he feels about you, and how he chooses to show up for you. Because when a woman doesn't need someone to fill her, fix her, or define her, but still opens her heart with intention, it tells a man he's been invited into a space that's already whole. That's power. That's magnetism. Men are used to feeling either pressure to be someone's everything, or they're chased for what they can provide, attention, status, security. But when you make it clear that you already have those things within yourself, that you've cultivated your own joy, your own stability, your own peace, and still choose to share your life with someone, it shifts the dynamic. You stop being someone who clings and instead becomes someone he wants to hold on to. He realizes you're not trying to get something from him. You're simply choosing to give because it aligns with who you are. This phrase also takes the fear out of honesty. So many relationships crumble because one person loses their identity trying to keep the other. But when you say, "I don't need you, I choose you," you show that your love is rooted in freedom. You're not trapped in the relationship, and you're not trying to trap him either. You're there because it feels right, not because it has to be right. And that energy is rare. It makes you unforgettable. A man feels more confident, more secure, and even more masculine when he knows the woman by his side is not with him out of fear or dependence, but because she sees value in the connection. That inspires him to rise. It motivates him to keep earning your presence, not out of obligation, but because he respects that you could walk away at any time. But you don't. That's where real emotional intimacy begins, not from attachment, but from mutual admiration and choice. And here's the deeper truth. When a man knows you don't need him, but that you're still choosing him, every action he takes becomes more meaningful. He becomes more mindful because he knows your love is not guaranteed, it's earned, moment by moment, through presence, consistency, and depth. That keeps the connection alive. That keeps it real. A woman who chooses a man from a place of strength and fullness will always be valued differently, because love, when it's given freely and not demanded, becomes something sacred, a gift he never wants to lose.